Welcome to the MRO Exchange, Connecting Healthcare Executives, your go-to podcast for staying informed in the dynamic healthcare world, where MRO discusses industry trends and topics with prominent healthcare leaders. In each episode, we delve into the intricate landscape of the U.S. healthcare system, shining a light on the immense responsibility shouldered by providers to effectively acquire, manage, and share clinical data with data consumers. Join MRO experts and healthcare executives as they navigate the important dynamics within this highly complex environment. From the surge in healthcare ecosystem demands to the influx of structured and unstructured data scattered across diverse systems, along with the ever-growing compliance, security, and privacy expectations, the MRO Exchange, Connecting Healthcare Executives, unravels it all for you. Tune in for a comprehensive exploration of the pressing issues shaping the healthcare industry today.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mo Weitnauer. I'm the Chief Product Officer of MRO. And thanks for tuning into The Exchange, where we connect healthcare executives. You can learn more about me and my background on the MRO website. Our website is mrocorp.com. Again, that's mrocorp.com. And you can also connect with me via LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Today, I am excited to connect with the illustrious Nio Queiro. We want to have an exchange, and it's going to be exciting for me and for all of you, I'm sure, to hear all about AI and revenue cycle, because as you know, AI is all the rage, and I want to really dig into Nio's thoughts about where it's going, how it's going to change revenue cycle. Just to give you a little bit of background about Nio, she leads the team at the Queiro Group, an agency that aims to help clients discover and implement the tools and knowledge needed to design empathy-led patient experiences. Her professional background is in revenue cycle, finance, and technology, and that allows her to help healthcare organizations evolve their digital and hyper-automation ecosystems using strategic transformational models. In 2021, she was one of modern healthcare's top 25 innovators and has been recognized for developing novel ways for improving patients' access to care. Welcome to the podcast, Nio.
Thank you, Mo. So excited to be here.
Absolutely. I think I'm more excited than you are. So I know that I'm speaking to you from where you are at HFMA's ANI's annual conference right now. So what's the buzz? What are people talking about?
You know, the buzz is AI. And what I'm hearing as I speak to providers and vendors is defining the difference between true AI and getting everybody into a common language. The other things that people are expecting is they want to see the return on investment for AI and how to actually upskill their workforce. There's a lot of conversation of that investment so that we really can start using AI to empower ourselves and do a cost containment model for how we deliver care. So we're hearing of joint use cases with clinicals and revenue cycle, sat through something really exciting about understanding how to use information of what we gathered prior to actually having surgery and using it for prior auth to give the payers the right information. Got a lot of interesting things on use of denials. Also looking at creating this incredible experience in the front end so that you can expedite your billing process with really clean claims. So really spending the time prior to sending that claim out to take out all the edits and make sure they're clean. So a lot of different use cases are being discussed, and it's exciting. And Vegas is 111 degrees. Woohoo!
Oh, Lord. That's hotter than AI, I can tell you that. Wow. So I want to unpack all of that and just get your perspective on, what's sticking and what's not. I mean, I'll clear out first with the naysayers. Some people are just like, it's another rev cycle fad. Oh, this is just RPA dressed up in new clothes. What do you say to those folks?
I say to those folks, look at all the other industries around us. Look at the industries that you use for your commerce everything from the banking industry to the airline industry to your supermarkets. I mean, everybody is seeing a robot in their supermarket, either stacking shelves or making sure that the floor is not wet and taking care of a spill. Um, AI is not going anywhere. You know, just how we had to embrace it during the embrace technology during the industrial age. AI is exactly the same thing. There were naysayers then. But what I will say, if you don't invest now, you will pay later. You may not be around to be able to compete or catch up. So that is the one thing that I hear everywhere I go, whether it's a conference or whether it's speaking to really smart leaders that are making sure that they're ready for the changes coming up ahead.
I love that. I love that. Invest or you'll be left in the dust for sure. For sure. I want to dig into something that you said earlier about kind of the value of clinical data and just unpack some of those use cases that you mentioned. So, as you know, we at MRO, we're really all about accelerating the exchange of clinical data between providers and payers and patients, et cetera. So what are you seeing as the true value of this clinical data in really generating more value using things like AI for advancing revenue cycle or even other use cases?
You know, it's funny because revenue cycle was speaking about clinical data before clinicians were valuing data. And then we went mute and created a chasm between clinical and financials. Here's the deal. Clinical data is powerful, and I'll explain why. Because it enables decision making, it enables productivity, it enables solutioning. And the way that I see what's going on in the industry is finally people are taking that data and saying, hey, if I have a patient and I have the information on that patient, then I could set up the modalities to care for that patient, not only in the hospital, but post-acute care. I also can alert the doctor about the patient, how the patient navigates healthcare. All that is in the clinical data. As you learn the patterns, you learn the person, and now you can make the decisions to keep that person out of the hospital. So now we have no readmissions, to lower the days of care. If I have a patient that comes in that has mobility issues, I can start addressing mobility issues in the inpatient arena at admission. That will eliminate maybe one day or a few hours of length of stay. And now, if we're taking that information and applying it to the demands of our contracts and our reimbursement models, and giving our clinicians the information they need to practice care, in a very intuitive manner.
Right.
So it changes the game. Now the doctor's not fishing. We actually give them the information that they need to practice, which is what they wanted to do in the first place.
Right, right. So I mean, I'm hearing a lot of different, tentacles of what it can lead to. It almost sounds like there's kind of an early intervention, being able to give the clinician themselves more insights about how they should take care of the patient. And then even the downstream, right? Like if you're discharging to a home health or discharging to a SNF or something else, helping them with all of that. And I'm wondering if in your mind, this means that the data themselves need to be more like richer or better standardized so that they can be useful for all these other use cases. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've tried to standardize data for so long. And we do it through our coding methodology, where it's either ICD-10 or CPT. It doesn't matter. However, that's the only way that we can standardize outcomes. However, because we have AI and we have large language processing, machine processing, we now can understand the local language of that institution. So we can now literally understand what are the documentation practices of physicians and be able to give them back information for decision making in a way they can digest it. So I think that we are actually in a very different age of being able to take away the restrictions of how data has to look, and we can actually learn from the individual and how they practice and be able to speak to them in a language that they can understand. So that's the flexibility of AI. AI is a learning tool. AI can interpret data and patterns better than we as human can. However, many of the decisions that need to be made have to be done by a human. And everything is translatable. This is the same as Susie's my coder, and she's the only one that can code cardiology because she knows Dr. Jacob. That's what AI is doing. AI is being Susie, understanding Dr. Jacob's patterns, his language modality, and coming up with decisions for the coder to decide, is this the right code? For the navigator to decide, is this the correct action for this patient? So now we can facilitate true virtual care.
I love that. I actually, even I'm now thinking that you and I should launch a product called Susie.
Not a bad idea.
Intense. So I'm going to put that aside and file it in all the bright ideas for branding. So I want to go back a little bit. This is super interesting. So I imagine, you talk to a lot of vice presidents of revenue cycle, chief revenue officers, CFOs of hospitals and health systems. How would you, if I'm a VP of Rev Cycle and my boss is, saying, you got to use AI, but I need to see the ROI. What would you tell me to do? How do I prove the value of the investment in AI and make sure that it's actually reaping the value that I want it to?
Well, first it starts with the investment in AI is an investment. But your real investment is in the use cases that you're tracking and creating. You see, the only way to value a return on investment is to know what you're monitoring and what you're tracking, where your metrics are. So you start with awareness. Be aware of all the people that are dependencies for the use case, or could be dependencies. Bring them in a room. Have an awareness of their reaction to what you're trying to fix or their insights onto what you're trying to fix. Define the use case together, because that gives you the opportunity to know what success looks like. And everybody is in agreement that that is success. Many places do not do that piece of it, and they end up with all these scope creeps. And the system is built exactly as designed, and they say it's a failure because the right people weren't in the room to say this is what success looks like. And then when you're ready to potentially deploy, have those people test it. Not just go through a demo, but no, let them test it. Get that feedback, because at that point, you will also know the limitations. And everybody will agree, well, it does A, B, and C, but we still need to adapt and change for D, E, and F. But you see, we're doing it together, and we're agreeing that that's what it is. Deploy it, and then adapt.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's really what we have to do. When we do that, then we have the metrics and the information to say, these are the savings that I was seeking, and this is the output that I got. And then when you adapt, you do that test again, and you will get a return on investment. but it's not the return on investment. It's not just how many bots did I put in, how many machine learning processes, models did I create. That is high level. Every use case has to have a return on investment, and then you roll it up and you see your project or your program return on investment. And that's what we're missing. We're missing this conversation of understanding the language of success for AI.
Right. Right. Yeah. That really resonates with me because, in the world of product and product development, that it's sort of this agile cycle of continuous learning and continuous discovery. Failure is a setup for the future success. And so the idea that AI doesn't just, as much as these systems are supposed to be autonomous, it takes people, it takes forethought, it takes ongoing work to make it generate the value that you want it to be. And the idea of bringing other people along within an organization to really reap the value and understand what it's meant to do and not meant to do. I just love that truly resonates. And I hope that more folks will really get that. It makes me think back to investments like when EMRs were coming into play. There was this notion that, hey, I'm going to pay this EMR company millions and millions of dollars and everything will be awesome. Well, you know what? It took armies of TSs and consultants and all kinds of people to really reap the value of those technologies. And, use of AI and RevCycle, no different. We got to invest people and time.
And we implemented it. People forget about the whole process with EMRs. We implemented the EMRs, but we didn't have CPOE. Then we implemented CPOE. Then we implemented quality metrics. If you think about it, because we just kept learning, and we kept learning and redefining success. So why would we think that there is this magic bullet for AI when it is a continuous learning tool?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. It goes against the actual definition of what AI is.
Right. I love that. That really resonates. Now, I want to just think about Susie. I like this idea of our friend Susie. So Susie's a coder every day. Yes. That's what she knows. She's been trained. She gets certified every year. What do you say to her when she says, oh, my gosh, I heard that we're going to do, autonomous coding. Does this mean I'm going to lose my job? Absolutely. Where do you think this implies? What does it imply for kind of people-oriented services? Are they going to disappear?
Absolutely not. It's going to be no different than, let's go back to HIM. When I graduated as an RHIA, passed my test, and it was many, many years ago. When that happened, we still had file rooms, cranking those wheels to move the shelves. And there were people that used to do the filing. There were people that did the coding. That didn't change. What did change? Their skills. Because we moved from paper to digital, right? First we scanned. So they learned a new skill, the scanning skill. And they learned how to file things into electronic folders. And that's what we have to do. We have to upskill our workforce so that they could be the vital, discrete data interpreters from the outputs of AI. You cannot eliminate the human. What you do is you elevate the human by giving them new skills and give them the opportunity to actually teach us what other things they need to learn from.
That's beautiful. I'm going to remember that, Susie's name, as well as you have to upskill the human. You have to elevate the human. So the machine itself has to elevate, continuously learn. The human goes up and they elevate. I love that. That's wonderful. Well, we got to end here, but I'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you so much, Nio. This has been fantastic. And I know we'll be hearing more from you in other fora. And hit us up on LinkedIn as well. As I said, Mo Weitnauer, and I am at MROcorp.com. Thank you so much, Nio.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to the MRO Exchange, where we connect healthcare execs. For more insights and to hear other healthcare executives' exchanges, visit the show's page on MROcorp.com and be sure to explore additional resources and thought leadership articles. You can also check out the program page on healthcarenowradio.com. Finally, be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn or X at MRO Corp. Until we talk again, this is the MRO Exchange, where healthcare execs connect.